Yo, this is Mike, Ringmaster of the Imagination Circus, and I'm here to give you my second Q&A. Thankfully, I got slightly more questions than last time. This time I got 4 questions, thankfully, though I will admit they're still only from 2 people. However, one of them was nice enough to give me 4 questions, and I appreciate that. So, again, let's get to it. Don't want to hold you up any longer than I needed to give that introduction. Let's go. Alright, I'll start from my friend who decided to give me 3 questions instead of just 1. And that would be one, Male Cotliur. Male Cotliur. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. And if I mispronounce that name, I apologize. It's the best I could do under the circumstances. But I'm going with Male Cotliur. Male Cotliur. I'll go with the first question, or at least the top question in this case is, this question is, also, do you plan to make live stream? And again, I think this was actually the last question I got asked, but I want to answer this one first just because I want to get it out of the way. No, I don't really plan on doing live streams. I wouldn't know how, and honestly, I guess I could probably find something to do, but I feel like I'd have to ask somebody else to help me out with that because I've got to be honest, I'm kind of slowly jogging along doing this YouTube thing, figuring it out on my own, and I've gotten better. I mean, you can argue against the quality of my videos all you want, but if you look at anything from like a year ago, which probably isn't anything because I've only really started consistently making videos this year, but if you look far enough back into my video catalog, man, has my quality improved quite a bit. But yeah, I don't think I could. I mean, I might change my mind in the future. I might decide to go along with it, but I would need some help with that, so no, I don't think I'll be doing any live streams. I wanted to get that question out of the way. Second or first question, Male Cotliur, regardless. Do you play any video games? I feel like all of these questions are kind of leading on from that first question or whatever. Do I play any video games? I do. I mean, that depends on what you consider a video game. I mean, I do play actual video games. I own a Wii U and a PlayStation 4. Yeah, those are the... But to be fair, I haven't... And here's the thing. I have not managed to play my PlayStation 4 yet because... And I got it fairly recently. Fairly recently being a couple of months. I have not been able to play it, and here's why. I need a new TV. I have the oldest TV ever, and I can't hook it up. And so I need to buy the cheapest possible new TV to hook up for an HDMI hookup, I believe it is. So yeah, I can't get it to work. And what's funny is the Wii U still works just fine than on this older TV. But the damn PS4, nope. Nope. As for video games, I gotta admit, I'm not really an avid gamer. I didn't really get into games as a kid, so no. I mean, I think the series, outside of PC games, which I played a couple of times as a kid, I was a big fan of the I Spy series. Anybody who's familiar with that series of CD-ROM based games, those were my childhood. I played those. I must have played the pirate one, like, oh, so many times. I think I still have a couple of them. But, as for, video games with actual consoles, I mostly used the Wii as a kid. My cousin had an Xbox. I used that a bit. But honestly, the most consistent video game series I played was the Lego video game series. And that was mostly for the Batman and Star Wars games. I really didn't play much else. I have played a couple of other video games. I played Epic Mickey and The Force Unleashed. I do own both The Force Unleashed and Epic Mickey 2, but here's the thing. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't finished either of the first games, so I haven't started, and I'm the kind of guy who insists on finishing one game before getting to the next. So yeah, I'm not really a video game guy, and if you haven't noticed, I play specifically mostly franchise games, and I specifically am looking forward to the release of the Sony Marvel Spider-Man game. because I have been dreaming, and I've also played a couple of Batman Arkham games, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because when I first heard about the Batman Arkham games all those years ago, I thought, man, this is awesome. Why can't there be a Spider-Man game like this? And as soon as I saw the trailer, the first trailer, or the gameplay trailer for the Sony Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man game, the gameplay, the fighting, the characterization, everything, even just the graphics, they all looked fantastic. And even just specifically the way Spider-Man moved as he fought, that is Spider-Man. And I have been waiting for a Spider-Man game like this for so long. I'm so happy it exists, and I look forward to it. I'm so looking forward to it. So yeah, I gotta get a new TV, but overall, I'm not really a video game guy. Now, to change things up, before we get to that last mail Cotelier question, I want to do the other question, which is from actually one of the people who asked me a question in my last Q&A, or for my last Q&A almost, whatever way you want to put it. It's from I'm sorry, I gotta look at your name again because it takes me forever. But eventually, I'll probably remember everybody's names who ask me questions, especially if they do it consistently. But okay, it's from Nico234. Nico234, I thank you for asking another question. I appreciate it. I told you this would be answered. And you asked me, why did I start watching MLP? Why did I start watching My Little Pony Friendship is Magic? And the reason for that? God, where do I begin? Well, I guess it started years ago, really. I mean, I've only been watching the show for a little over a year. I just finished the first 6 seasons right before season 7 started, and then I watched season 7, and then I started doing, of course, my reactions to season 8. But yeah, and I literally, what's funny about that is I actually became a fan, just as I'm, finishing up getting into season 7 or whatever, I see the trailer for the movie.
This October, the world's coolest little ponies are coming to the big screen. My Little Pony.
Now for the finishing touch.
The movie.
I'm excited. Who's excited? Everyone's so excited.
Featuring an all-star cast.
Oh, lovely.
With an original song performed by Sia.
All right.
Coming soon.
And it's like, oh, wait, I just got into this fandom and there's a movie already? What kind of timing is that? That's kind of crazy, isn't it? I just barely managed to catch up before the movie. I think that's hilarious in hindsight, but yeah. But as for how I actually got into the show, oh man, how did I get into the show? Well, it started years ago. I'd heard rumblings of this My Little Pony series. I knew what My Little Pony was because I'd, become familiar with the internet. I was already kind of an internet savant, if you will. I'd seen things from the show. I'd even heard the winter wrap-up song long before I watched the first season. Or even 3 years ago. I'd heard rumblings before then, but 4 years ago is when I graduated high school and then got started in college. And when I got to college and I moved into the dorms and all that, I met a friend named Steven. Or Steve. Yeah, I guess it was just Steve. I think we specifically called him Steve. It's been a while since I've seen him. We kind of fallen out of touch. But if it wasn't for him, I probably never would have become a fan of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And the reason is he was already a brony. And he brought it up. He didn't bring it up very often. And one day while we were all eating, we were all free, we didn't have any classes, and we were all sitting in the cafe area to eat our meals, somebody, I don't remember if it was me specifically, I don't think it was. My memory is terrible, but was watching the old Rainbow Dash versus Starscream Death Battle. From a Screw Attack. We were watching the old Starscream versus Rainbow Dash, video. And from Death Battle, and someone at the table who was also not a brony brought up they couldn't believe that the Rainbow Dash had beaten Starscream. At this point, I still wasn't a brony. I still hadn't watched the show at all, except in clips from this very series, really. And maybe some random thing, like a meme or whatever on the internet that I might have seen. And that was one of the rumblings, and it was probably fairly close to when I started watching the show. Like, you know, every so often I would hear, oh, this is My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. You know, this friend in particular is probably the reason I started watching the show. Steve, I don't know if you'll ever see this video, but I have to thank you for this. I kind of have to, and it's like, without you, I probably never would have started watching this show, so I really do appreciate you doing that and bringing it up just enough where got curious, and that is what happened. I got really curious, and I started looking into it, and, you know, even just, like, thinking about, like, well, eventually I'm gonna have to sit down and watch this series, and I don't think I realized just how long the series had been going on at that point, and how many seasons there were, and how many episodes there were. And so, like, eventually, after who knows how long, I think I finally sat down. It means, thinking about it, I probably, like, finished seasons 1 through 6, looking at this when season 7 first aired. I probably finished watching seasons 1 through 6 back in, like, early April. Thank you, Nico234, for that question. I feel like I might have gone overboard, or maybe I didn't, I don't know. I don't know how long I've been talking about this, but yeah, that's kind of how I began as a fan of the show. And yeah, that I'm happy to have, shared this all with you. But yeah, we got one more question, again, from the other person who bothered to, you know, give me questions. So yeah, let's answer the final question from Male Cotelier, okay? Let's answer that question. Now, let me see. It's, what others show you watching besides MLP? Male, I don't know if you're, like, rush that question, the grammar's off. It's a little off. But, yeah, what other shows do I watch besides MLP? There are a couple of shows. I'm a big fan of Elementary, which is also on a new season right now. It's on season 6. Elementary being the American equivalent of the show Sherlock, which, like, you know, well, I've read one of the novels and pretty much all of the short stories. I haven't read all of the novels, because they're novels, and I don't really have a lot of time to read, but I did manage to read. I will say this, I managed to read A Study in Scarlet in a single day, and I'm very proud of that fact. A good start for Sherlock Holmes, and I can see why the character became so popular. And again, the format works better for short stories, and I personally have always preferred that format, and I feel like a procedural, an American-style procedural, which I don't think I'm pronouncing right at all. It's this word, you'll probably see it here in front of me, but yeah, I don't think I can pronounce that word correctly, but Elementary, as one of those, I'm not saying it again, as one of those, it works better than I think the format for, for the Sherlock series, just because I feel like they try to make it as weird as possible without giving, it's like a lot of, what's the word? It's a lot of flash, no substance, that's it. It's a lot of flash, but no substance when it comes to the Sherlock series. And I'm sorry if you're a fan of the series. I've never liked it. I tried to like it. I tried to watch it. I couldn't get past that first episode. It's just not for me. And you know what? If you like it, that's fine. I personally think it's flawed as an adaptation of Sherlock Holmes. And yes, I think Elementary, where Sherlock Holmes is moved to New York City and like Lucy Liu is playing Joan Watson as a female version of the character. Yeah, I think that's the better adaptation between the two. And I'm sorry, but that's my opinion. And I prefer Elementary, and I kind of wish Elementary got more attention because it's a really good show. But nobody makes videos about it on YouTube or anywhere else that I've seen on the internet. There aren't a lot of videos about it, and that kind of amazes me. Because this show has been going strong for 6 seasons, and it's really good, and I love it, and I don't understand, come on. It's Lucy Liu and Johnny Lee Miller. They are great as Holmes and Watson. Or Watson and Holmes. I don't know how I said it, but yeah, it's great. It's great. So yeah, that's one of the shows I watch. Yeah, there's me going on a tangent, over-explaining again, but Elementary. And another show I watch, I'm a fan of Steven Universe. I'm kind of more of a casual fan of Steven Universe, but I am a fan, and I just finished watching the 2 new episodes, or kind of the 20-minute long episode that they released, like, I guess yesterday was when they released it, so I'm slightly late, but at the same time, it's like, well, I think it was pretty good for a 20-minute episode of, you know, Steven Universe, and I thought it was a really, and it was also kind of the, Season 5 finale of Steven Universe. And I'm only a casual fan of Steven Universe, but I love the music. I also love the characters. Characters are usually what will keep me watching a show. And I have to say, I think that it's a pretty good show, and I thought it was a pretty good finale. And, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I mean, what can you do? What can you do, really? So, yeah. Once again, I kind of got over the top exaggerated for that last question. I apologize to any of you who couldn't stomach it. But yeah, those are most of the shows I'm into at the moment, or like might be interested in. Although now that Steven Universe is off, like, you know, is gonna be off for who knows how long, I'm gonna be like, have to like, and I'm happy. MLP is on hiatus right now, so all I got right now is Elementary, which I'm more than happy with. But I've of course gotta wait for whenever MLP comes back, for whenever Steven Universe gets a season 6, which who knows at this point when that's gonna happen. So yeah, that was pretty much everything I had to talk about. Those were my answers to the questions given like a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I appreciate the questions, and yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that. This was the second Q&A from Imagination Circus Productions. And I hope to do more in the future, every 2 weeks, if possible, if there are enough questions, if we can keep this going. So if anybody else has a question they would like to ask me, please leave it in the comments of this video. Please ask whatever you want. I might not necessarily answer that question, assuming it's appropriate or it's something I don't feel comfortable answering. But otherwise, I'm a pretty open person, so the number of questions that I probably won't be willing to answer are probably far few compared to the number I will be willing to answer. So please, like, ask whatever you want. Leave them in the comments of this video here. Please, I would like to get, I don't care how many questions you ask, like, in a single sitting, but please, I would like to get more than 2 people asking questions this time. I appreciate that I got 4 questions overall, but I need a few more people. So please ask whatever you want, and we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this. This was my second Q&A ever, and I hope I hope this is well received. And this has been Mike, Ringmaster of the Imagination Circus, and yeah, see you next time. I want to see Heroes for Hire, and if we could get Season 3 of Luke Cage and Season 3 of Iron Fist and have them be Heroes for Hire, that would be fantastic. I would love that.
Power Man and Iron Fist. It's got a ring to it. That's going on a t-shirt for real.
What do you say? You in?